Hey everyone, it's Andy Wood from Gamer Circle Comics, and this is episode 7 of the Something show. The name of the show has not yet been set in stone, so please keep those suggestions coming. I've gotten a few. Some of them I like, some of them I don't really like, and I'm just trying to find one that's going to really kind of stand out. And again, I want to really thank everyone for all their feedback, their support. It's been almost too much for me to bear, but I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me, so you can keep that coming too if you want. So for those that don't know, this is the show where I talk about comic books, and when I talk about comic books, I'll tell you about some comic book news that I've read about that you may or may not know. I'm going to tell you about the comic books that I've read and what I thought about them, and I'm going to tell you about the up-and-coming comic book releases for this week. Comic book code, comic book code, comic book code. And again, for those that don't know what's going on, you should see a code up here that you can write down or something and redeem it. It's a Marvel code, so you have to go to a Marvel website. So if you're not a Marvel fan, be patient. The DC codes will be coming. And you get a free comic. So that's not bad. That's pretty cool, because comic books are cool. In the comic book news for DC Comics, the month of September is all dedicated to supervillains. Two separate things. One is there is a standalone story called Forever Evil 7-issue miniseries, where all the supervillains of the DC look like they're going to be kind of collaborating. Also, every issue of like Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman or Flash or Green Lantern, those issues are going to have the supervillains instead of the superheroes. So it's all about the baddies when it comes to September for DC Comics. So you might want to check some of this stuff out. It looks pretty good. In Marvel news, when it comes to a voice being found for Rocket Raccoon, it would seem that Bradley Cooper is in deep negotiations, and I'm not knowing what that means, but Hollywood Reporter is saying he's going to be the voice. They're also stating Elizabeth Olsen is being cast as Scarlet Witch. So, some more casting news for an up-and-coming Marvel movie, so that's pretty cool. For even bigger comic book news, I'm sure most of you have either read or heard about it, but Ben Affleck has been cast for Batman to play opposite Henry Cavill in the next Batman-Superman or Superman-Batman movie. And a lot of people have been very negative. Before you cast your vote, yay or nay, does everyone remember Robert Downey Jr. and when he was cast to be Tony Stark? So just bear that in mind. And also, Ben Affleck has played Superman. So, something to consider. I think everyone's going to be surprised. So speaking of big news when it comes to Ben Affleck's being cast as Batman, Bryan Cranston has also been cast as Lex Luthor. Now, I've only seen this from a couple different sources, no big sources, but a lot of sites are reporting it. And for those that don't know who Bryan Cranston is, he is on the AMC's Breaking Bad, and he plays Walter White. So you can put a face with a name. He was also the father of Malcolm in the Middle. So, good comic book news, I think. Comic book code, comic book code, comic book code. So I'll give you guys some time to get that code, redeem it, get your comics. Cool. So when it comes to comic books that I've read this week, the first one at the top of my list was Detective 23, because I really wanted to see this character that I'm calling the Reverse Batman. He calls himself the Wrath. He's got a better suit than Batman, he's got better gear than Batman, and he beat Batman in a fight. Another comic book at the top of my list this week to read was Superman Unchained number 3. The way this story has started off, it just keeps me kind of on the edge of my seat. It's some great art by Jim Lee, a fantastic story by Scott Snyder, and in this one, General Lane wants to show Superman why the Wraith is better than he is when it comes to doing what he does do. Superior Spider-Man Team Up number 2 came out, and in this one, Kane comes to New York, and for those of you who don't know who Kane is, he's actually the clone of Peter Parker, to check up on his good friend Peter Parker, only to find out that Peter Parker has become a big jerk. Now, Kane doesn't know about the changes, of course, so he thinks he's still dealing with Peter Parker as Peter Parker. And we had an interesting twist in the story, and I'm looking forward to the next issue to see if there's going to be a reveal or not, or what kind of a twist. So, again, another good book to pick up. Comic book code, comic book code, comic book code. So, again, check out that comic book code floating around here. It should be somewhere. Well, hopefully it's there. Alright, so what's coming out this week for comic books? The new releases for this up-and-coming week, we have Batman, Superman #3. And then the previous issue, I don't know if you remember, but I did mention that Superman and Batman show up on Earth 2, only to find out that Superman and Batman want to kind of kick Superman and Batman's butt. So we have more of that happening in issue #3. So if you ever wanted to see how Superman and Batman would fight Superman and Batman, I guess you'd have to find out in Superman and Batman, issue #3. In Image's new title, Lazarus #3, this is the continuation of the twins plotting against their father. So Thanos #505 comes out this week. That's the last one, telling about his origin, how it all started, and I wonder if this is going to be showing us the end when he goes into the Infinity. Ultimate Comics Spider-Man #26. It would appear that Miles is back as Spider-Man, or is he? Is he just going along to help out Cloak and Dagger, Bombshell, and Spider-Woman take down the Roxxon Corporation? Pick up this issue and find out. Comic book code, comic book code, comic book code, and comic book code. It should be floating around here somewhere. So you should know what to do by now. And again, down below, I'm going to put all the links and everything so you can find it. Hey, let's talk gaming news. GameCon 2013 is over, and there was a lot of great information out there. I wanted to just grab a couple things to share with you guys. It would seem that not so good news for the standalone version of DayZ no longer has a release date. They didn't really go into details. They just said that they're working on the art, working on the animation. For those of you that have been eagerly awaiting the Elder Scrolls Online, it would appear that ZeniMax Online Studios has announced that the subscription will be $14.99 a month. And the general manager said that they prefer the subscription base over the other model. Otherwise, they would have had to make some sacrifices. So I thought that was kind of interesting, because there are many other models that I enjoy that put out some pretty fine content, if you ask me. So that's it for gaming news. Now, what have I been playing? I think last episode, issue comics, episode TV, okay, episode, yes, got it. Last time, I had announced that I finished up the Duels of the Planeswalker. So I had beat the game, but I took it another level. I said I'm going to take a deck, and I'm going to unlock every card. And I did. I unlocked the Ajani deck, which was the mono white. It had auras and stuff. Well, I decided to also unlock the mono black because it's got zombies. So I'm still playing that. And the reason why I like this game, it's one of those things where you can start up real quick, and you don't have to worry about the attention span. So that way, if I'm doing anything, I can just take a break, go play a couple quick matches, and come back. And it's not like hopping into an MMO and getting stuck into an instance or something like that. Now, what was released last week was also XCOM Declassified, the Bureau, and I've been playing that too. And I've been putting some Let's Play video up. And I really didn't think I was going to like the game. Now, first of all, when I saw the demos, it made it almost look like XCOM Enemy Unknown. They didn't really show the interface, and that's what I was kind of thrown for a loop for, because it's not really a topographical strategy sort of thing, turn-based. This is actually real-time first-person shooter, and the one thing I really don't like about the game is the spacebar. In every single game, every single first-person shooter, the spacebar is the jump button. Sure, I can remap it, but then I'd probably confuse myself later on. But the space bar is actually how you go into command mode and issue commands to your agents that are on your team. So it was a little rough start. It's kind of interesting to have this first-person shooter perspective, and then when you hit the space bar, it kind of puts in bullet time. It slows everything down, but things are still happening. And if you watch the videos that I've put up there, you can see how I curse at the interface. And that's a wrap. That's this week's show. I really hope everyone had a lot of fun. I hope you guys are liking this. And once again, Wednesday is New Comic Book Day. Support your local comic book store if you can. Have a great rest of your week.